Dr. Cortez, and we're going to discuss today for the subject of business research, the format. So pag-usapan natin yung gagawing format ng inyong research. Okay. At ayan, sumasayaw pa ako dyan, nag-exercise before I do the recording, I do the lesson, and you can view in the screen now the objectives of this lesson. Ito yung mga after the topic, after this lesson, the students should be able to do the following 1, 2, 3, 4. Generally for doing research, the preliminaries, ito yung mga preliminary pages ng research, because basically today we're going to talk about the format of your research for undergraduate classes. So yung mga mahilig mag-research sa mga estudyante, ito yung format na ating gagamitin. Take different from dissertation format na ginagawa ng mga doctors. Ito napakasimple lang, mga pang estudyante, pang undergraduate students. And these are the topics to be covered: the rationale, the preliminaries, the problem and the background, the review of related literature, recommendation sa ating gagawing research. And for the past few meetings, we have been talking about the definition of research, in particular the definition of business research. We talk about the qualitative and the quantitative format of research, and the difference between to familiarize you with the format na gagamitin nyo sa iyong research. Okay. Ang ganda na aking background. So, pag-usapan muna natin yung rationale, why students are doing research or why students should be doing research. Practice lang to sa inyo, no? After you are done with your college education, magkakaroon ka ng sariling company, sariling business. Papasok ka na sa isang company, will now be an employee of a certain company. And you can avoid research sa business. No? Research should be a way of life. You can't escape research. No? So dapat gagawin mo talaga ito sa iyong negosyo, sa iyong company, sa iyong business, sa iyong organization. Okay? So parang this one is like, if you have a business, this research is like routinary thing like selling goods, selling services, yung araw-araw mong ginagawa. And although hindi araw-araw, but you should be doing research in a routine way. For example, every month, every quarter, every year, no? Kasi nagbebenta ka, and you should understand your customers, your client. And you can do that by doing research or market research. Okay. So basahin natin yung ating definition now. Students conduct research as part of the curriculum. Now, sa mga estudyante, research very naive, napakasimple lang. Students are doing research just to pass the subject. Kasi part ng curriculum, that's why you are doing research. But later on, pag meron ka lang business, no? Research should not be just a part of the curriculum, not only for the grade, but you should do something for your business para maging marketable, maging profitable. Yun yung negosyo. In response to an academic assignment and or response to a call for possible publication or conference presentation, ang research daw hindi lang ginagawa, hindi lang sa sinusulat, but you should share the result of your research. How? By presenting that in different conference, different research conference. Dapat malaman din ng iba yung result ng iyong research, hindi lang para sa iyo. Okay? What is important, research issues should contribute to the body of knowledge. And you can do that by presentation of your research or disseminating the results of your research. Kaya meron tayong tinatawag na publication or conference presentation. Okay, so despite disciplinary differences, scholarly or academic standard, every student is expected to conduct research from time to time. I will underscore this one, every student is expected. You are not an exception, guys, no? So dapat you should be well versed or familiar in doing research, no? From time to time, throughout your college life, you should be doing one or two types of research. That is a student way of life from time to time. Within this realm, a community of scholars is built, used by an academic endeavor to contribute in building of knowledge or academic knowledge. So the number one reason bakit may gumagawa ng research is for you to contribute to the body of knowledge. Not only for, although grade is maybe important for you, but grade should only be secondary. Number one purpose or the primary reason is dapat mayroon kang makakontribute sa body of knowledge. Whatever field you are in, kahit ikaw ay marketing student or accountancy student or financial student, you should contribute to the body of knowledge. And you can do that by doing some kind of research. So that is the background, that is the rationale of why you should be doing research. So routine siya, a way of life. So you can't avoid research. And another thing, by engaging in research, students could develop analytical and critical thinking, and their writing skills could be trained. I have three words here: analytical, critical, and writing skills. No? So aside from you are complying with the requirement of your professor, matatrain ka din dito how to analyze data, how to critically analyze data, and of course writing skills. Kasi magsulat ka dito, you can just copy paste a research from the internet or from a book and put that as your research. That is plagiarism. So dito pala, no, aside from critical thinking, masasanay ka rin dito how to write. And we are not talking just a one-page research. We're talking about more than 100 pages of research. Okay, so for those 100 pages, sigurado meron ka dong part, meron ka nang sinulat doon. Okay, so 2 pages nga lang na sinulat mo, di ba? You can be trained. How much more if you have 100 pages na sinulat mo? And later on, you will realize that pag natapos yung research, you will be surprised na ba na nasulat ko to, natapos ko siya. And what do you call this? You don't know. You will not realize that later on, magaling ka na palang magsulat because you have written close to around 100 to 150 pages of research. Kasi ikaw gumawa nun. That is pag ikaw gumawa ng research mo. Pero pag kinopya mo lang yan, so yung writing skills dito, so hindi mo sa makukuha. Okay. So these are the skills that are essential to every professional individual in and out of the academe and more in the industry. So tandaan natin to, analytical, critical, and writing. Yan ang mga skills na makukuha mo pag ikaw ay nagsulat ng totoong research, totoong ikaw nagsulat ng research na yon, itong tatlong to, no? Makukuha mo yan. Okay. So let's go to the next slide. Ito na tayo sa pinaka-outline ng ating research. Take note, guys, itong format or outline na to, pang undergraduate lang to. Kasi ang pang master's degree or pang doctoral degree, no, iba yung kanilang format na ginagamit. Mas mahaba. So as much possible, sinisimplihan lang natin yung ating format. For example, no, ang pinakaunang part ng iyong research susulatin ay yung tinatawag natin the preliminaries. The preliminary pages ng iyong research. Kasi of course, you will not go directly sa introduction. Meron ka munang sinasabi mga, what I call this, ang pasakalya, no? Mga intro, tinatawag natin. And we call this the preliminaries. Sa preliminary pages, meron tayong 4 na part. Of course, the first part of your preliminary is the title page. No? Nakalagay din yung pangalan ng school. Kung saan school ko man na you belong or nag-aaral, no? Pangalan ng school. These are the basic, no? Pangalan ng school, yung title ng research mo, yung kung what is that for partial fulfillment ba ng isang requirement. Okay, ano pa? Of course, the name of the proponent, yung nagsulat. Kung ilan kayo, isa or tatlo, no? And of course, the date of your research. No? For example, the role of these names in marketing. Yun ang title. Okay? Submitted by, for example, Rachel Rodriguez, no, to the faculty of ABC University. Yan, dated, for example, March 2021. Yan. So, pinakaunang line ng title page, yung pangalan ng school mo. Okay? O pag hindi man school yan, pangalan ng iyong company or organization. Okay? Then, yung title ng iyong research. Then, in partial fulfillment ba ng isang requirement. Then, you write your name of the researcher or researchers, and of course, the date covered. March, the month and the year, no, ng submission. Example, March 2021 or April 2021. Yan. Yan ang first part, no, ng preliminary. Then the second one, the certification and approval sheet, no. So certification kasi sabi natin kanina, no, you will be trained in writing sa research, no. So dito, you should not be just copy pasting yung isang article. Example, may nakita kang magandang article sa internet o sa libro, tapos kinopy-paste mo sa nilagay sa research. Na hindi ka man nag-cite, na hindi mo in-acknowledge yung author ng libro or ng website or ng journal na yon. That is plagiarism. Okay? So, ang second part ng research mo, dapat mayroong certification na hindi plagiarize yung ginawa mong research. Okay? Kasi, kaya nga sinabi sa research, no? Rediscovering of knowledge. Hindi lang sa kinaka-paste mo dyan. And dapat certified yan na hindi mo sa kinopya. Baka may mga researcher na nangopya lang, di ba? So, hindi siya dapat ma-certify na ano. So, ang sinabing certification, certified na hindi siya plagiarized. Hindi lang kinopya, no? Certified na proofread yung research mo. Pag siya ng proofread, na-check ng isang qualified evaluator or something, no, na yung grammar, yung English na ginamit, sentence construction ay tama. So certified ng proofreading and certification of plagiarism. And of course, you should also write there yung approval sheet. Okay? Yung pag-present ng research mo ay approve dapat ng iyong advisor. So take note, pag nag-research ka, you don't know everything. So, dapat meron kang pinaka-coach, pinaka-guide, or advisor. No? So, dapat meron isang approval. Kung approve na sa presentation, to presented, no? Then, pag na-present mo na yan, is it now approved by the panel of evaluator? Example, may 3 panel, no? Na mag-check kung approve na siya for dissemination ng result, no? ng iyong research. Yan. And siyempre, you can also write there sa preliminary yung acknowledgement. Pag may gusto kang pasalamatan, very short, maybe 1 page of acknowledgement. No? May gusto kang pasalamatan, usually your family members mo, yung prof mo, yung advisors mo, the panelists, no? Or yung mga library staff ng iyong university, ng iyong school. No? Or lahat na nakatulong or palagi mo nakatulong sa pag-conduct na iyong research. Anyway, then the last part of the preliminary is you should have the table of contents. So napaka-importante ito kasi if you have close to 200 pages ng yung research at meron nagbabasa ng research mo, no? At may gusto silang hanapin, hindi nila alam kung saan part hanapin yung example, yung result, no? one person wants to know the result of your study, okay, 200 pages, so dapat meron kang table of contents para isang tingin sa table of contents, alam ng isang nagbabasa ng iyong research, no? Kung saan makikita yung page na yun. Anyway, that is the basic purpose naman ng table of contents, diba? May mga page numbers siya para malaman kung saan. Alright, so yun ang ating preliminary pages ng iyong gagawing research. Okay, ito yung mga 4 pages ng iyong research. No? Parang pagbuklat ng iyong research, no? Hindi ka agad yung body ng research makikita, but meron kang mga introduction, mga pasakalye muna. Okay. Then, next part, we have here the chapter 1. Okay. Chapter 1 is very important kasi this is the window to your research. No? Unang tingin ng isang nagbabasa ng research, makikita ay yung introduction. And introduction is the part of chapter 1 titled The Problem and the Background ng iyong research. So dito, siyempre, yung mga questions about the research, no? And of course, the background of the study, what is the rationale behind why you conducted the research, no? Bakit siya gano'n importante sa iyo? Anong contribution niya sa iyong sa body of knowledge? Anong benefit para sa iyo sa mga taong magkakabasa nito? Okay? Yun ang background natin. So, the intro is very important kasi yun ang unang binabasa. So parang pag ikaw ay nagbasa ng isang introduction at nakita mong hindi masyadong naboboard ka, no? Hindi masyadong interesting, parang ayaw mo nang ituloy pagbabasa, no? In contrast, pag nakita mo introduction ay napaka-interesting, bagay na bagay sa'yo, parang meron kang makukuha dito. Pag negosyante ka, parang may matutunan ka sa research na to based on the introduction pa lang, no? So itutuloy mo pagbabasa, no? That's why that is the importance of the intro. Introduction, you can have this one like mga 5 to 10 pages mga 5 pages lang ng introduction mo. Okay, now ang introduction, siyempre, pag meron kang title na ginawa sa introduction, okay, example, no, maggawa tayo ng dito ng title, no, sa intro. So, sulat ko dito, ha. Sana nakita niyo, no? I will be writing here a title ng isang research, no? Example, the role of music, the role of business name. Okay, ito yung title ng yung research. The role of business names in the marketability. Naman spelling, ito. Marketability of fast food businesses in Quezon City. Okay, yan ang title lang yung research na gagawin. Mali spelling, ha. Okay. So, i-italic natin siya para okay. Center natin siya at medyo ayan. Okay, meron tayong title, guys, ha. Ibigay ko rin yung kulay niya para distinguish yan. Ayan. So itong title lang yung research. The role of business names in the marketability. Spelling natin, ha. In the marketability of fast food businesses in Quezon City. Okay. Title natin. Okay, and okay, meron title, no? The role of business names in the marketability of fast food businesses in Quezon City. Ayan. Okay, now, sa introduction tayo. Ang introduction mo, magkakwento ka about mga variables, no? For example, sa introduction, banggitin mo, parang background nga, di ba? Magkakwento ka about business names, magkakwento ka about fast food business. Yan, no? So, dalawang we call this construct, dalawang construct. Business names, pwedeng marketability, and fast food businesses. So, magkakwento ka about business names. Magkakwento ka about fast food. Kasi kung anong nandito sa iyong sa iyong title, no? Yan ang iyong ikukwento. Siyempre, no? So, yung pangalan, for example, you will define first what is business name. Magkakwento ka mga ginagamit na business name sa Pilipinas, sa Quezon City. Gano'n sa importante. Bakit sa ginagamit ang business? Yan, okay? Magkakwento ka rin about fast food. Okay, so ang kwento dito, marami kang pwedeng kunin sa internet, sa libro, e-books, journals, no? Okay lang yon, ilagay sa introduction. Kaya lang sabi natin kanina, no? Hindi mo lang siya kina-copy-paste. Kasi pag nag-copy-paste ka, that is plagiarism. Dapat nag-ano ka dito, pinaparaphrase mo. Lahat ng kukunin mo sa internet, kasi ngayong pandemic, di ba? Hindi ka pwede makapunta sa library, sa National Library, no? Kasi yung research ako dito, talagang pupunta pa kami ng National Library o iba-ibang library para mag-research. Ngayon, hindi pwede masyadong maglakad sa no? So we'll be tempted to just browse the internet and look for e-books or for articles, no? Na ilalagay mo sa iyong introduction. That is okay, no? Kaya lang, you should be paraphrasing yung mga kinukuha mong articles or materials from the internet. Kahit anong yan. So, you will mention the names, kung saan mo siya kinuhang kung saan website, yung author ng article na yon, yung title ng articles, okay? Yung date ng publication, yung page number, or kung anong date mo siya in-access. No? Yan ang ginagawa natin sa research. Sa introduction, lagi natin sa introduction yan. Okay. And in the introduction, meron tayong tinatawag na from macro to micro. No? So, macro means malawak. Micro means makitid. No? If you can imagine a pyramid, no? Pyramid. Yan. Okay? Yung pyramid, babaliktarin mo yan. So, mayroon ka na nakikita kayong inverted pyramid. Pag sinabi inverted pyramid, malawak sa taas. Tapos, pakipot siya, kumikipot siya. Okay? That is what we call inverted pyramid. That is what we call the macro to micro. Now, what is the importance of that in the introduction? Sa introduction kasi, pag magkakwento ka, from global level muna, example, no? Fast food and global level, magkukwento ka. Malawak yon. Then slowly, fast food in the Philippines. So, okay, papansin mo, pakipot siya ng pakipot. Global, then Philippines. Then mas makipot, fast food in Quezon City. Ano napansin mo doon? Globally, then national, then local. Yan tinatawag nating macro to micro level sa introduction, no? Inverted pyramid. Ibig sabihin, sa first paragraph, ikukwento mo dyan, global na business names, global na marketability, and global na fast food. Yan muna ilalagay mo dyan. Then, mga second paragraph or third paragraph, about the Philippines naman. Then, mga last paragraph, ilagay mo dyan, kwento naman about sa Quezon City level na. So, pababa tayo ng pakipot na level, kaya tinawag siyang macro to micro. Okay? That is the introduction. Intro pa lang yan, okay? The second part of the chapter 1 ay yung background of the study. Ang background is, kumbaga local level na yan. Okay? Sa background, yung Quezon City na ang banggitin mo. Okay? Example, background ng mga fast food sa Quezon City. So, ibig sabihin, yung introduction and the background of the study, ano sila? Dapat smooth yung kanyang transition. Parang nagbi-bridge sila, bridging, no? Bridge yung last paragraph ng introduction, tapos yung first paragraph ng yung background of the study. Smooth transition. Nagbi-bridge, no? So sa background of the study dito, therefore, babanggitin mo dyan yung local level na anong nangyayari sa mga fast food. Anong nangyayari sa mga fast food na gumagamit ng business names sa Quezon City level. Kasi ng title mo. Okay? And by the way, mas maikli ang background sa introduction. Kasi last time may nag-defend, no? Napansin ko mas malawak yung kanyang mas marami siyang background kaysa introduction. Right? Dapat mas marami kang introduction, mas maraming paragraph ang introduction kaysa background of the study. For example, pag ang intro pag introduction meron kang 10 paragraph. O background mo siguro mga 2 lang, okay na yan. Basta mas marami yung intro kaysa background of the study. Okay. Now, pag sinabi nating conceptual framework, ito yung anong gusto mo mangyari sa iyong research. Ito yung sometimes we call this the research paradigm. So pare-pareho lang tayo, no? Conceptual framework, research paradigm, and the research philosophy, no? Pare-pareho lang ibig sabihin ng mga yan. Pag sinabing conceptual framework, ito yung, di ba nagre-research ka, no? So anong gusto mo mangyari? Saan ang pupuntahan ng iyong research? Paano ang structure? Pag gumagawa ka ng bahay, no? Paano mo pinaplano yung paggawa ng bahay? Ito ring conceptual framework, ganun din. Paano mo pinaplano sa isang tinginan lang, yung takbo ng iyong research. Ito tawag siyang framework. Yung concept, sariling concept mo yan, no? Ang ilalagay mo dyan. So you can have this in a interconnecting shapes like parang kasabi ko kanina, isang tinginan lang, lahat ng gusto mangyari sa isang framework, isang picture lang, isang image lang, kita natin doon, no? Yung gusto mo mangyari. And of course, you should also mention in chapter 1, the objectives of your study. Ano yung mga 5 to 6 objectives, okay. Huwag masyadong marami. Huwag mo naman 10, mga 6, mga 6, 5, pwede na yan. Ano ang gusto mo mangyari? Ano ang tinatarget mo, no? Subjective. Pagkatapos mabasa namin yung research mo, ano aming matututunan? What is your contribution sa body of knowledge? Bakit mo siya in-undertake, no? Yung ganitong klase ng research? Ilagay mo sa objective of the study mo. Example, to market, one objective, for example, one objective of a study is to market the business, to have a more marketable business. Yan. You start with the word to. T-O, no? Okay. Yung next part ng chapter 1, yung scope and limitations of the study. Unahin natin yung scope, no? Siyempre, ang research, hindi naman yan pangmatagalan. Take note, guys, madaling magbago ang result ng isang research. In 2 years time, pwede maging obsolete yung result ng iyong research. Ganun sa kabilis magbago. Especially sa mga technology type of research, mga experimental na type of research. In 2 years time, obsolete na yung result ng isang research. That's why it's very important, yung scope. Kasi pag sinabing scope, babagyan mo dito yung hindi naman lahat ay pwede mong pag-aralan. So parang inipon mo lang siya, you zero in to a specific area, nag-target ng isang specific area, yun ang yung scope, no? For example, ito, fast food. Scope dito, hindi natin pag-aaralan ang lahat ng klase ng food business. Hindi natin pag-aaralan dito yung catering, canteen, fine dining resto. Very specific. Fast food lang yung ating pag-aaralan dito. So scope mo dito, bakit mo dito? This study is only valid for fast food businesses. Kasi pag may nagbasa dyan na, bakit ang resto affected ba? Hindi. Kasi nakalagay sa scope mo, mga fast food lang. Okay? Population, scope, anong lugar? Quezon City lang. Very clear, no? Quezon City lang. We don't care about other places. We don't care about Singapore. We don't care about Visayas. Mindanao area, Quezon City lang. So napaka-limited 'yan. Okay? So walang kaso kung maliit lang yung coverage. What is important ay yung contribution mo sa body of knowledge na. And limitation, example, this one is for year 2021 only. This study is valid only for year 2021. Para pag may nagbasa, hindi na babalikan yung ibang years. How about yung 2001? How about yung 2005? Hindi na kasi sa limitation mo dito, na-limit ka lang sa for the past several years lang. For the last 5 years lang. Okay, significance of the study, banggit mo dito, sino makikinabang sa study na ginagawa? Now, sa research na yung gagawin. Example, siyempre, no? The result of the study is significant sa researcher, na students ng business. O guys, pakinggan nyo itong sinasabi ko. You should not be listening just for the sake of listening. No? Dapat tinatandaan sinasabi ko. Significance, gano'n ka-importante sa isang estudyante, sa businessman, sa researcher mismo, future researchers, sino ba? Community, customers, no? Kung nakikita mong research mo ay makikinabang, ay maraming makikinabang, example, mga business owners, banggitin mo dyan. Okay? And of course, you should also write here the definition of terms na ginamit. Yung mga words na ginamit mo sa iyong research na hindi mo masyadong matatandaan. Example dito sa ating title, no? Saan dito yung word or phrase na curious ka kung ano ibig sabihin. Example, yung business name, hindi mo alam. So, i-define natin. Yung fast food, hindi mo alam anong definition, i-define natin dito. So, lahat ng words na palagay mo ay magiging confusing sa readers ng research mo, you write those in your definition of terms. Okay. So that is our chapter 1. Okay, natin. Okay, parang wala akong video. Parang di ko nakikita. Anyway. Okay, I will be checking the video kung ano siya. It's not working. Okay, so pahinga muna tayo for the chapter 1. So lahat ng sinabi ko, tandaan nyo kasi when you will be writing your research, alam mo kung paano siya gagawin. Okay. Alright. Okay, so let's continue with the presentation. Okay, so we are done with chapter 1 and let's go to chapter number 2. Ang title ng chapter 2 is Review of Related Literature and Studies. Okay, the word literature, ito yung mga binasa mong articles, binasa mong mga books, journals, magazines, newspaper na magagamit mo sa iyong study. Example, sa ating title, di ba? Business names. You read something about business names from a book, from a journal, from a magazine, from a newspaper. Those are your literature related. No? Hindi lang literature, related. Yung talagang connected sa iyong study. Example, you browse the internet, may nakita magandang article doon, then meron siyang title ng article. meron siyang author, meron siyang date, meron siyang publication, yun ay related literature. Kasi you can't create a research pag wala kang binabasa. Sa research kasi guys, no, read and read. Magbasa ka ng magbasa ng napakarami, 100 plus na literature bago mabuo yung research. Alright? And sometimes, pag wala kang maisip na title, sa kakabasa mo, meron kang nabubuo na title. Gano'n importante yung literature na gagamitin natin. So maraming sources ang literature. But sabi ko kanina, you will be tempted to read an online source na napaka-convenient kasi, and hindi kasi pwedeng lumabas to go to the library to read, no? Okay? Maganda naman sa internet, updated siya, no? Pero hindi lahat ng internet materials are reliable. Example, ang Wikipedia, hindi pwedeng masyadong gamitin yan kasi napapalitan yun. Okay? Ang mga reliable na literature, e-books, journals, no? Na pwede mong basahin, na related sa iyong study. Now, pag sinabi namang studies, take note, ang chapter, ang nire-review mo, ang binabasa mo ay dalawa, literature and studies. Pag ang literature ay mga libro or mga magazines, no? Ang studies naman ay mga past researches, past dissertation, for example, no? Studies, no? Ang studies, ito yung mga sinulat ng mga estudyante rin na tulad nyo. Okay? Hindi sa libro. Kasi ang libro, literature, no? Example, may nabasa kang research din na sinulat ng isang estudyante from a different university. So, pwede siyang gamiting literature. Studies, no? Now, maraming database sa internet. Database ng mga thesis, studies, and dissertation. Just browse the database at makita mo doon kung related, no? Madali naman yan, i-type mo lang sa box yung title ng yung research. For example, told kanina, no? Business name, o i-type mo lang sa dialog box, business name. Magbibigay siya ng maraming database ng thesis, dissertation, research. Okay, na-filter out sa database, no? So, depende sa yung title. Depende sa yung research kung anong klaseng journal ang iyong hanapin doon, no? Example, meron ka ng research, ang title iba naman. Yung research mo is about leadership style. O type pa lang sa dialog box sa isang database, leadership style. Okay? So, magbibigay siya it will give you a list of research titles na pwede mong gamitin to support your study. Okay, ang literature natin, pwede siyang foreign literature, pwede siyang local. O siyempre, pag sabing foreign literature, mga libro, mga journal, mga books na sinulat ng mga outside the country. Okay, mga librong foreign authored. No? Pag sinabing local literature naman, mga libro na ginamit na sinulat ng mga local authors, na mga Filipino authors. Pag sa foreign studies naman, mga journals o research or dissertation na sinulat naman ng mga foreign students. Pag local, siyempre, mga research or title or thesis na sinulat sa Pilipinas lang. Yan. So, meron kayong apat na klase ng for chapter 2. So, ihiwa-hiwalay mo lang mga yan. Unahin mo yung foreign literature. Okay, so yun ang laman ng chapter 2. So, mahabang chapter 2 kasi nga, pag nagbabasa ng mga literature, hindi lang 5 libro ang babasahin mo dyan. When I was doing my research, no, I read 150 related literature and studies ang binasa ko para mabuo yung research ko. Yan. So, read, guys. No? So, you can't create a good research pag limited yung mga reading materials mo. Dapat marami yan. Okay? Mga e-books, no? Okay. That is your chapter 2 and let's go to chapter 3. Okay, ito yung natin sa ating research methodology, no? Take note guys, ang isa natin, ang chapter 1 is titled The Research Problem and Its Background. Chapter 2, the review of related literature and studies. No? Ang Chapter 3 naman, research methodology. So basically, Chapter 3 will talk about the methods na gagamitin mo in doing your research. Okay, so pwede siyang qualitative, pwede siyang quantitative. Anyway, the first part of research methodology is the method of research na gagamitin mo dito. Example, ano bang method? Questionnaire? Are you going to give questionnaire? Are you going to conduct a survey? Or interview? Or observation? So, anong method? So, by the way, ang madalas ginagawang methods, no, ay yung float survey questionnaire. Namibigay ng mga survey questionnaire sa kanila. Din sasagutan nila yan. Okay? Or kung gusto mo naman, if you want to supplement that, parang ginagawang interview. Pero madalas ay questionnaire ang kanilang ginagamit. Anyway, may mga advantages and disadvantages naman yung mga methods na ginagamit natin. For example, advantage ng questionnaire. So, madali lang kasi mamimigay ka lang sa kanila at sasagutan nila. Wala masyadong, that is not time consuming ang survey questionnaire kasi bigay mo sa kanila din, sagutan nila yan. Ang interview kasi, medyo mahaba. Pag meron kang 50 interviewin, just imagine, no? Yung time to be spent on talking or interviewing yung 50 respondents mo. Okay. But siyempre, ang questionnaire, meron siyang limitations din, meron siyang disadvantage din. Example, disadvantage of questionnaire is yung response ng respondent ay based lang doon kung anong tinatanong sa kanya sa questionnaire. So meron siyang gustong sabihin, di niya masabi kasi wala naman sa tanong. Samantalang pag survey questionnaire yan, pag interview, no? Pag interview, pwede mong dagdagan yung tanong. So, depende sa'yo. So, open-ended, no? Pag sinabi nating interview. Kasi yung sagot ng respondent, ay pwede, it could be lengthy, it could be short, no? Depende sa iyong kwentuhan. Okay, now, in Chapter 3, we'll also talk here about the population. Example, population natin, lahat ng fast food sa Quezon City. Yan ang population natin. Pero siyempre, hindi naman lahat ng fast food ay pupuntahan mo. Siyempre, kuha lang ka ng sample. Example, 10% lang ng total population. Total, 10% of the total fast food in the Quezon City, yun lang iyong pupuntahan. Example, 10%, no? Ay merong, let's say we have 500 fast food in Quezon City. 10% of that is your sample size, no? So 50 fast food ang iyong pupuntahan. And what type of technique ang iyong gagamitin? What kind of sampling technique? So marami tayong sampling technique na pwedeng gamitin, no? May convenient sampling, may random sampling, mayroong purposive sampling, no? Tayong ginagamit. Anyway, pag-aralan man natin yan, no? And you will also describe the description of the respondents. Okay, example, fast food, di ba? Describe mo ano yung fast food, ilang taon na sila sa sa business. Anong type ng business yung kanilang ginagawa. And research instrument, the questionnaire ang yung gagamitin. Pag sa method research dito kasi, you can also mention na qualitative research ang yung ginagamit. Din sa research instrument, you can mention here kung questionnaire ang yung gagamiting instrument to get the data, the response of your respondents. Alright, and data gathering procedure, anong gagamitin mo? Example ng isang data gathering procedure. Unang gagawin mo dyan, simply, of course, you will write the questionnaire. Right? And then, after writing, after revising, no, you will pre-test your questionnaire sa 10 non-respondent. So if you want to know the validity, the clarity, completeness, or gray areas of your questionnaire, i-pre-test mo muna yan. Huwag mo nang ibigay dun sa respondent kasi mamaya hindi pala clear yung instruction tapos pinamigay mo na, itest mo muna siya. At least 10 respondents, no? 10 respondents, i-pretest mo yung questionnaire para malaman mo doon kung nahirapan ba sila, kung naguluhan sa instruction, kung masyadong mahaba, masyadong maikli. Pretest lang naman yun. No? Hindi pa sila yung totoong respondents mo. But based on that, you can revise. No? Based sa pretest, sir, yung mga tanong dito hindi masyadong maliwanag kung i-check or in-circle. O nakita mo beforehand, right? And based on the pretest, you can now revise yung content ng iyong questionnaire. And you give that to the questionnaire, and you also mention the procedure to be done, the direction, how are they going to answer the questionnaire, ilang araw yung questionnaire sa kanila, and how do you retrieve yung questionnaires. So that is part of data gathering procedure. In the last part of chapter 3 is statistical treatment of data. After gathering the response, anong gagawin mo doon? Yan ba ay i-ranking mo? I-percentile mo yan? Itatabulate mo? Basically, no, pagka kuha ng mga questionnaire sa kanila, you write that on an Excel table, Excel format, para tinatabulate mo yan in an Excel format. Alright? And after tabulating, you get the total. Anong gagawin sa total? Mean, median, mode, z-test, t-test, ranking, or average. Okay, so pag sinabi na statistical treatment of data, what are you going to do with the data na nag-gather mo sa kanila? Though, kasi we're talking about the amount, no? We are talking about numbers here. Anong gawin sa mga numbers na yan? Okay, so that is chapter number 3. And let's go to chapter 4. Ito na yung what we call the presentation, analysis, and interpretation of data. Sa chapter 3, nag-tabulate tayo, di ba? We gather data in chapter 3. Now, paano mo i-present sa mga reader or user ng iyong research yung data na nag-gather mo? So, presentation. Are you going to present that on a table? And you should also explain the table, table, graph, or pie chart, for example. No? Important, you analyze, you explain, you discuss the result of the presentation. What does a reader view or see in your chapter 4? You should discuss. Example, you should discuss a chart, a pie graph, a bar graph, for example. No? Yun. And of course, the word analysis, no? You're not just presenting, but you should analyze yung result na yun. Percentage-wise, for example. You have a 10%. What does that 10% mean? Okay? And of course, you interpret yung result ng iyong data. Anyway, we have examples naman. If you're going to write the research, we have samples na of a full sample of a research para maintindihan nyo what is chapter 4. Okay, chapter 4 is connected to your chapter 1 because in chapter 4, you only write here the main topics per objective. For example, in chapter 1, you have 6 objectives. In chapter 4, you should also have 6 headings. 6 main topics sa ating chapter 4. And pag meron ka sa headings dito, so ibig sabihin, the objective in chapter 1 and the result in chapter 4 should jive. Dapat sinasagot ang chapter 4 yung objective sa chapter 1. Okay, so, and the last part, chapter 5, summary, conclusion, and recommendation. So, isahin natin na, chapter 1 was the background of the study. The problem in the background of the study. Chapter 2 was about the review of related literature studies. Chapter 3 was the methodology, research methodology. Chapter 4 was the analysis, presentation, analysis, and interpretation of data. Okay? So, chapter 4, present natin lahat yung result ng ating survey, for example. Chapter 5, we summarize the table. Kasi, if you're going to read the whole chapter 4, hindi mo intindihan yung result nun. That's why we have chapter 5. We summarize, we conclude, and recommend. Summary, conclusions, and recommendations. So it has three main parts. The summary of findings. No? Yung findings natin sa chapter 4 na sangkatutak na table, okay? We summarize those here in chapter 5. Pinakli natin. Okay? Then we conclude and we recommend. So that is the proper order, no? We summarize first, we conclude, then recommend. Parang ganito, no? A simple illustration. May nakita kang isang babae tapos isang lalaki naglalakad sa kalye. Okay? Magka-holding hands. That is the findings. Yan na nakita mo, that is the findings. No? Now, isipin mo, magkaano-ano sila. Siguro mag-boyfriend yon. That is your conclusion. Kita yung flow? Okay, nakita mo, then you conclude. Findings, magka-holding hands. Then conclusion, siguro mag-boyfriend. Okay. Now, what is your recommendation? Pag nakita mo mag-boyfriend, anong sasabihin mo sa kanila? Dapat yan, magpakasal na, no? Napaka-sweet na, dapat nagpakasal na sila. So you recommend to them. Yan ang flow ng ating chapter 5. No? You summarize, you conclude, and recommend. Now, pag sinabing summary findings, as short as possible, dapat ang iyong findings. Ang conclusion, dapat din as short as possible. Walang masyadong paligoy-ligoy. Straight to the point. Walang masyadong wordy sentences. Brief and concise dapat ang iyong conclusion. Walang halong opinion. Okay? The conclusion should only be based on the findings. So nakita mo sa finding, huwag mong haluan ng iyong personal opinion. Okay? Then you recommend. Recommendation also is very short. Okay? Hindi siya masyadong mahaba. Kaya nga, tinawag natin isang chapter 5 para isang tinginan lang. Lahat ng magbabasa ng research, punta sa chapter 5, alam na kagad yung result ng iyong research. Okay, so that is the end of this lesson about the format to be done. And I hope that you gain something from this presentation, from this lesson titled The Business Research Format. Okay, and that would be it for today, guys. And once again, this is your business doctor, Dr. Rich Cortez. And see you again, guys. Thank you.
And to subscribe naman ako, guys, sa aking munting channel, Doc Oliver the Great TV, at yung aking isa pang channel, Doc Negosyo. Thank you!